Exterior Boston Harbor, dawn, 1847. The sun rises over Boston Harbor, casting golden light across wooden ships and foggy waters. The city awakens to the sounds of horse-drawn carriages, street vendors, and church bells. A ship from the West Indies docks at the pier. Exterior Boston docks. Continuous. Latoya Duchamp, 28. A free woman of color with striking features and intelligent eyes, steps off the gangplank carrying a worn leather bag. She wears a modest but well-made traveling dress. Her posture is dignified despite obvious exhaustion. Behind her, Samuel Reed, 45, a ship's officer with kind eyes, helps with her trunk. Samuel, Miss Duchamp, are you certain you'll be all right? Boston can be unwelcoming to newcomers. Latoya, with a slight French-Caribbean accent. I appreciate your concern, Mr. Reed, but I've traveled far to study medicine. I won't turn back now. Samuel, medicine? But you're a Latoya, firmly but politely a woman. Yes, and also a trained herbalist and midwife. I've delivered more babies than most doctors in this city have seen. Samuel tips his hat respectfully as Latoya hails a carriage. She hands the driver a slip of paper with an address. Interior carriage. Moving. Morning. Latoya watches the city pass by her window. The architecture is severe, Puritan. She clutches a letter in her hands, reading it again. An invitation from Dr. Cornelius Blackwood to study at his private medical practice. Exterior. Blackwood Medical Institute. Day. The carriage stops before a grand but austere building in Boston's medical district. A brass plaque reads, Blackwood Medical Institute. Founded 1822. The windows are tall and dark. Latoya pays the driver and approaches the heavy wooden door. Before she can knock, it opens. Dr. Cornelius Blackwood, 55, stands in the doorway. He's tall, distinguished, with silver hair and cold gray eyes. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. Dr. Blackwood, Miss Duchamp, punctual. I admire that in a student. Latoya. Dr. Blackwood. Thank you for this opportunity. Dr. Blackwood. Your letters demonstrated exceptional knowledge of anatomy and pharmacology. Quite remarkable for someone of your background. Latoya's jaw tightens slightly, but she maintains composure. Latoya. My grandmother was a healer. She taught me that knowledge recognizes no boundaries of birth or circumstance. Dr. Blackwood, chuckling. How charmingly idealistic. Come, let me show you what real medicine looks like. In Blackwood Medical Institute. Entrance hall. Continuous. The interior is impressive but cold. Marble floors, dark wood paneling, medical diagrams on the walls, the smell of carbolic acid and something else, something faintly sweet and disturbing, permeates the air. They pass several medical students in their 20s, all white men, who stare at Latoya with varying expressions of curiosity, disdain, and hostility. Dr. Blackwood, you'll find my institute operates differently than traditional medical schools. We believe in practical application, in pushing the boundaries of medical science. He leads her through a corridor lined with specimen jars containing preserved organs, tumors, and deformities. Dr. Blackwood continued, Tell me, Miss Duchamp, what are your views on the theory of vitalism? Latoya. I believe life force exists beyond mechanical processes, but I also believe we must study the body systematically to understand disease. Dr. Blackwood, diplomatic. But in my institute, we deal with certainties, not beliefs. Interior operating theater. Day. Blackwood opens double doors to reveal a circular operating theater. Rows of seats rise up around a central operating table. Medical instruments gleam on nearby trays. Dr. Blackwood, this is where transformation happens, where we conquer death itself. Latoya, noticing dried blood on the table. You've recently performed surgery? Dr. Blackwood, this morning. A fascinating case of abdominal obstruction. The patient didn't survive, but we learned invaluable information. Latoya, I'm sorry for the loss. Dr. Blackwood, loss? My dear Miss Duchamp, death is merely data. Every corpse is a textbook that can only be read once. We must extract every lesson. His coldness disturbs her, but Latoya maintains her composure. Interior student quarters, day. Blackwood shows Latoya to a small room in the building's east wing. It's sparse but clean, a narrow bed, a desk, a washstand, and a small window overlooking the courtyard. Dr. Blackwood. Your accommodations. Meals are served in the refectory at 7, noon, and 6. You're expected in the lecture hall at 8 tomorrow morning. Don't be late. Latoya, I won't be. Dr. Blackwood, I want to thank you again for... Dr. Blackwood. Cutting her off. Save your gratitude. Prove yourself worthy of this opportunity. Many believe a woman, particularly a woman of color, has no place in medicine. I'm curious to see if they're right. He leaves without waiting for a response. Latoya sits on the bed, hands trembling slightly. She takes a deep breath, steadying herself. Interior Latoya's room, night. Latoya unpacks her belongings by candlelight. She carefully arranges her few books, medical texts, a Bible, a journal. From the bottom of her trunk, she removes a small wooden box containing dried herbs, tinctures, and her grandmother's remedies. She opens her journal and begins to write. Latoya V.O., first day in Boston. The city is as cold as its people. Dr. Blackwood seems brilliant but unsettling. There's something about this place, something wrong beneath the veneer of respectability. But I didn't come all this way to falter at shadows. Tomorrow I begin. Through her window, she sees a light in the basement. Shadows move behind frosted glass. The sound of something heavy being dragged echoes faintly through the building. Interior lecture hall, day, the next morning. 20 male students sit in tiered seats. Latoya enters and takes a seat in the back row. Conversations stop. Eyes follow her. James Crawford, 24, a handsome but arrogant student from a wealthy Boston family, whispers loudly to his companions. Crawford, perhaps she's lost. The laundry is in the basement. Laughter ripples through the room. Latoya opens her notebook, ignoring them. Dr. Everett Morgan, 40, enters, Blackwood's chief assistant. He's thin, nervous, with ink-stained fingers and a twitchy manner. He notices Latoya, and his expression flickers with something like pity. Dr. Morgan, gentleman, and Miss Duchamp. Today we'll discuss the cardiovascular system. Please open your anatomical atlases to plate 47. The lecture proceeds. Morgan is knowledgeable but jittery, constantly glancing toward the door as if expecting interruption. Latoya takes meticulous notes, occasionally raising her hand with insightful questions. Latoya, Dr. Morgan, regarding the pulmonary circulation. If we understand that blood must be oxygenated in the lungs, why do we still practice bloodletting for pneumonia? Wouldn't we be removing the very resource the body needs to fight infection? The room goes silent. Morgan's eye twitches. Dr. Morgan, that's a very astute observation, Miss Duchamp. The tradition of bloodletting is... Well, it's traditional, but you're not wrong to question it. Crawford, mockingly, perhaps the lady should stick to herb gardens and leave complex medical theory to those with the capacity for it. Latoya, turning to face him, perhaps the gentleman should study the work of William Harve. Why more carefully before dismissing circulatory logic? Or is reading comprehension beyond your capacity? Several students snicker. Crawford's face reddens. Before he can respond, the door opens. Dr. Blackwood enters, and the room immediately falls silent. Dr. Blackwood, Dr. Morgan, I need to borrow Miss Duchamp. Bring your notebook. Interior corridor, day. Latoya follows Blackwood through the hallway. His pace is brisk. Latoya, is something wrong, Dr. Blackwood? Dr. Blackwood, wrong? No. Opportune. A patient has arrived with a condition I believe you'll find. Educational, interior examination room, day. A woman, Mrs. Elizabeth Hartwell, 35, lies on an examination table, pale and sweating. She's clearly in pain, pressing her hands to her abdomen. A nurse stands nearby. Dr. Blackwood. Mrs. Hartwell, this is Miss Duchamp, one of our students. She'll assist in your examination. Mrs. Hartwell, weakly. A woman? Oh, thank God. Please, the pain is unbearable. Latoya approaches, her demeanor immediately warming with compassion. Latoya, Mrs. Hartwell, I'm going to ask you some questions. When did the pain begin? Mrs. Hartwell, 3 days ago, low on the right side. And I've been bleeding. Latoya, Gently. Bleeding between your monthly courses? Mrs. Hartwell nods, tears streaming down her face. LaToya carefully examines her, asking detailed questions about the pain's nature, her medical history, recent activities. Her examination is thorough but gentle. Dr. Blackwood watches with an unreadable expression. LaToya. Dr. Blackwood, may I speak with you privately? Interior corridor. Continuous. LaToya. I believe Mrs. Hartwell may have an ectopic pregnancy. The pain, the bleeding, the location. It all suggests the embryo has implanted in the fallopian tube rather than the uterus. Dr. Blackwood, impressed despite himself. Your diagnosis? LaToya, if I'm correct, the tube could rupture at any moment. She could bleed to death internally. She needs surgery. Immediately. Dr. Blackwood, surgery for ectopic pregnancy is experimental. Most patients don't survive. LaToya, most patients die if we do nothing. At least surgery gives her a chance. Blackwood studies her for a long moment. Dr. Blackwood, very well. Prepare her for the operating theater. You'll assist me. Interior operating theater. Day. Mrs. Hartwell is brought in on a stretcher, now unconscious from the laudanum they've given her. Medical students file into the observation seats. Crawford smirks as LaToya enters wearing a surgical apron. Crawford, to his companions, this should be entertaining. Let's see if she faints at the sight of blood. Dr. Blackwood stands at the operating table, instruments laid out with precision. Dr. Morgan assists, still nervous. LaToya takes her position across from Blackwood. Dr. Blackwood, to the students, gentlemen, observe. We have a suspected ectopic pregnancy. Miss Duchamp made the diagnosis. Let's see if she's correct. He makes the first incision. Blood wells up. LaToya doesn't flinch. Instead, she immediately begins using gauze to maintain visibility of the surgical field. Dr. Blackwood continued. Good. Steady hands. Morgan, retract here. The surgery proceeds. Blackwood's skill is undeniable. His movements are precise, confident. He locates the fallopian tube, which is indeed swollen and on the verge of rupture. Dr. Blackwood continued. Miss Duchamp was correct. The embryo has implanted here. We must remove the entire tube to prevent fatal hemorrhage. LaToya, will she still be able to bear children? Dr. Blackwood, she has another tube. Perhaps. Hand me the ligature. LaToya passes him the surgical thread. Their work continues in focused silence. After 20 minutes, Blackwood successfully removes the affected tube and closes the incision. Dr. Blackwood cant to the students, and that, gentlemen, is how we save a life that traditional medicine would have abandoned. Take note: diagnosis, decisive action, surgical skill. These are the hallmarks of modern medicine. He looks at LaToya with something approaching respect. Dr. Blackwood canted. Well done, Miss Duchamp. Perhaps you won't be entirely useless after all. It's the closest thing to praise he's offered. LaToya nods, but something in his eyes troubles her. There's an intensity there, a hunger that goes beyond medical curiosity. Interior recovery room. Evening. LaToya sits with Mrs. Hartwell, who is beginning to wake from the anesthesia. The woman's hand finds LaToya's. Mrs. Hartwell, groggily, Did I survive? LaToya, you did. ID. The surgery was successful. You'll need rest and careful monitoring, but you're going to recover. Mrs. Hartwell, tears flowing. Thank you. God bless you. LaToya. Rest now. As LaToya stands to leave, she notices Dr. Morgan lingering in the doorway. He gestures for her to follow him into the hall. Interior corridor. Night. Dr. Morgan, speaking quietly. That was impressive work today. Your diagnosis, your composure in the theater. LaToya. Thank you, Dr. Morgan. Dr. Morgan. Hesitating. Miss Duchamp, I feel I should... That is, I want to warn you. LaToya. Warn me about what? Before Morgan can answer, footsteps approach. Dr. Blackwood appears at the end of the corridor. Morgan immediately falls silent, his expression becoming neutral. Dr. Blackwood. Dr. Morgan, I need you in my office. Now. Dr. Morgan, quickly to LaToya, we'll speak another time. He hurries away with Blackwood, leaving LaToya alone in the dim corridor. She hears their footsteps descending stairs toward the basement. Curiosity overtakes caution. Latoya follows quietly, staying far enough behind to avoid detection. Interior basement stairwell. Night. The stairs descend into darkness. Gas lamps flicker. The sweet, disturbing smell from earlier grows stronger. Latoya hears voices below, Blackwood and Morgan, arguing. Dr. Blackwood, OS. I don't care about your squeamishness, Morgan. The work must continue. Dr. Morgan, OS. But the risks, Cornelius. If anyone discovers what we're doing, Dr. Blackwood, OS, no one will discover anything. We're too careful, too necessary. Do you think the medical establishment advances through timidity? Latoya creeps closer to a partially open door at the bottom of the stairs. Through the gap, she glimpses a large room lit by numerous lamps. Interior basement laboratory. Night, Latoya's POV. What she sees freezes her blood. The room is a sophisticated laboratory, but it's the contents that horrify. Multiple operating tables, shelves lined with jars containing organs and specimens, and bodies, several bodies on tables in various states of dissection. But these aren't ordinary cadavers for medical study. Some show signs of experimental surgery, unusual incisions, organs removed and replaced with mechanical devices, strange apparatus attached to limbs. Dr. Blackwood stands over one table, gesturing enthusiastically at a body whose chest cavity has been opened and fitted with what appears to be a mechanical pump where the heart should be. Dr. Blackwood. Think of it, Morgan. If we can replace the heart with a superior mechanical alternative, we eliminate the weakest link in human physiology. No more heart disease. No more sudden death from cardiac failure. Dr. Morgan. These were people, Cornelius. Living people. Dr. Blackwood. These were patients who were dying anyway. I gave them the opportunity to contribute to something greater than their insignificant lives. They should be grateful. Dr. Morgan. They didn't consent to this. To being experimented upon. Dr. Blackwood. Dism. Isively. Consent is a luxury we can't afford if we're to advance the science. History will remember us as pioneers, not as men who let morality stand in the way of progress. Latoya's hand covers her mouth to prevent a gasp. Her foot shifts, causing a floorboard to creak. Instantly, Blackwood's head snaps toward the door. Dr. Blackwood continued, "What was that?" Latoya turns and flees up the stairs as quietly as possible. Behind her, she hears the door opening fully, footsteps pursuing. Interior basement stairwell. Night. Latoya races up the stairs, her heart pounding. She reaches the ground floor and slips into a side corridor just as she hears Blackwood emerge from the basement. Dr. Blackwood, OS, searched the building. Someone was listening. Latoya presses herself against the wall in the darkness, barely breathing. Footsteps pass her hiding spot. She waits until they fade, then makes her way back to her room. Interior Latoya's room. Night. Latoya locks her door and leans against it, trembling. She goes to her desk and begins writing frantically in her journal. Latoya VO. I've made a terrible mistake. This place isn't a medical institute. It's a charnel house. Blackwood isn't advancing medicine, he's desecrating it. I saw things tonight that I cannot unsee. Bodies, experiments. He's using patients as subjects for horrific procedures. I must find proof. I must expose him. But I must be careful. If he discovers I know. A knock at her door makes her jump. She quickly hides her journal. Latoya, who is it? Dr. Morgan, OS. Dr. Morgan. Please, I must speak with you. Latoya hesitates, then slowly unlocks the door. Morgan slips inside, looking terrified. Dr. Morgan, you were in the basement tonight. I know you were. Latoya, I don't know what you... Dr. Morgan, desperately, please don't lie. There's no time. Blackwood suspects someone saw his work. If he discovers it was you. Latoya, deciding to trust him. What is he doing down there, Dr. Morgan? Those bodies, Dr. Morgan, experiments. Blackwood believes he can improve upon human physiology through mechanical and surgical intervention. He's brilliant, truly, but he's gone too far. He's performing experimental surgeries on patients without their knowledge or consent. Latoya, that's murder. Dr. Morgan, shaking his head miserably. It's worse than murder. He keeps them alive during the procedures. Some of them are still alive in that basement, in unimaginable pain. Latoya feels sick. She sits on her bed trying to process this horror. Latoya, why haven't you reported him? Dr. Morgan. To whom? Blackwood is celebrated by the medical establishment. He has powerful friends, politicians, judges, wealthy benefactors. And I assisted him in the early experiments. I'm complicit. If he's exposed, I'll hang alongside him. Latoya. So you'd rather let him continue? Dr. Morgan. Ashamed. I'm a coward. I know it. But you could stop him. You have no ties to the medical establishment here. You could gather evidence. Go to the authorities. Latoya, I'm a woman of color with no connections in this city. Who would believe me over Cornelius Blackwood? Dr. Morgan, there must be someone. A newspaper, a magistrate, someone who values truth over reputation. Latoya, thinking, Mrs. Hartwell. The woman from today's surgery, she was grateful, wanted to know how to repay me. She mentioned her husband is a lawyer. Dr. Morgan, hopefully, that could work. But you'll need evidence, documentation. Latoya, his laboratory journals. He must keep records of his experiments. Dr. Morgan, he does. Meticulous ones. He keeps them in his office. Latoya, then I need to get into his office. Dr. Morgan, that's madness. If he catches you. Latoya, people are suffering, dying. I didn't come to Boston to stand by while a madman commits atrocities in the name of science. Morgan looks at her with admiration and fear. Dr. Morgan, tomorrow night. Blackwood attends the Harvard Medical Society on Wednesday evenings. He'll be gone from 7 until at least 10. Latoya, where is his office? Dr. Morgan, 3rd floor, East Wing. I can get you the key. Latoya, why are you helping me now? Dr. Morgan, quietly. Because I've done terrible things in the name of cowardice. Perhaps this is my chance at redemption. Or perhaps I'm just tired of the screaming that comes from the basement at night. He leaves, and Latoya is alone with her racing thoughts. A CT2, interior lecture hall. Day, the next day. Latoya sits through a lecture on surgical techniques, but her mind is elsewhere. She watches Dr. Blackwood, who seems his usual composed self, showing no sign that he suspects her. Crawford continues to make snide remarks, but today Latoya ignores him entirely. She has more important concerns than his fragile ego. After the lecture, she approaches Blackwood. Latoya, Dr. Blackwood, I wanted to ask about yesterday's surgery. The technique you used for the tubal ligation. I've not seen it described in any text. Dr. Blackwood, pleased by her interest, because I developed it myself. Traditional methods are too crude, too likely to cause complications. My technique ensures minimal scarring and optimal healing. Latoya, I'd love to learn more about your innovations. Do you have writings on your methods? Dr. Blackwood, I do, but they're not for publication. Not yet. My techniques are too advanced for the current medical establishment to appreciate. When I publish, it will revolutionize surgery. But timing is everything. Latoya, of course. I understand completely. She's playing to his ego, and it's working. Blackwood's expression softens almost imperceptibly. Dr. Blackwood, you know, Miss Duchamp, I had reservations about accepting a woman into my institute. But you've shown remarkable aptitude. Perhaps in a few months, when you've proven yourself further, I might share some of my more advanced work with you. Latoya, I would be honored, Dr. Blackwood. He nods and walks away. Latoya's expression hardens the moment he's gone. Int. Recovery room. A. Forenoon. Latoya visits Mrs. Hartwell, who is recovering well. Her color has returned, and she's sitting up in bed. Mrs. Hartwell, Miss Duchamp, I'm so glad you came. I feel so much better today. Latoya, I'm pleased to see it. Your body is healing well. Mrs. Hartwell, my husband visited this morning. He's so grateful to you and Dr. Blackwood. He said to tell you that if there's anything we can do to repay you. Latoya, carefully, actually, Mrs. Hartwell, there might be. But it's a delicate matter. Mrs. Hartwell, of course. Anything. Latoya, Your husband is a lawyer, you said? Mrs. Hartwell. Yes, a very good one. He works with the district attorney's office. Latoya, I may need to speak with him. Privately. About a matter of public safety. Mrs. Hartwell's expression becomes concerned. Mrs. Hartwell, this sounds serious. Latoya, it is, but I can't say more until I have certain evidence. Would it be possible to arrange a meeting with your husband, perhaps away from the institute? Mrs. Hartwell, of course. He could meet you at our home. Tomorrow afternoon? Latoya, perfect. Thank you. Interior. Latoya's room. Evening. Latoya prepares for her mission. She dresses in dark clothing and waits for nightfall. There's a soft knock at her door. She opens it to find Dr. Morgan, who quickly hands her a key. Dr. Morgan, this opens Blackwood's office. Be quick, be careful. And Miss Duchamp, if something goes wrong, I never gave you this key. I can't help you if you're caught. Latoya, I understand. Dr. Morgan. The journals are in the cabinet behind his desk. Look for the ones with red binding. Those contain his experimental notes. He leaves as quietly as he came. Latoya waits until the hallways are silent, then slips out of her room. Interior Institute hallways. Night. The building is quiet but not empty. Night nurses move through the corridors, checking on patients. Latoya moves carefully, using side passages and staying in shadows. She reaches the third floor without incident. The east wing is darker, quieter. She finds Blackwood's office door and tries the key. It turns smoothly. Interior Blackwood's office. Night. Latoya enters and closes the door behind her. The office is impressive. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a massive mahogany desk, anatomical models, and framed certificates on the walls. She lights a small candle and begins searching. The cabinet behind the desk is locked, but Morgan has given her a second, smaller key. Inside, she finds rows of journals. The red-bound ones are exactly where Morgan said they'd be. She pulls out the first one and begins reading by candlelight. What she reads makes her stomach turn. The journal documents experiments in gruesome detail. Blackwood has been testing the limits of human endurance, attempting to replace organs with mechanical alternatives, grafting animal tissue onto human subjects, deliberately infecting patients with diseases to study their progression. Each entry is clinical, detached. Blackwood records the subject's pain or pleas, their deaths with the same neutral tone he'd used to describe the weather. One entry makes her stop. Subject 23, female, age 19, admitted for treatment of consumption. Subject proved ideal for cardiac replacement experiment. Initial replacement successful. Subject survived 47 hours with mechanical heart before expiring. Cause of death, infection at insertion points. Note for future attempts, develop better sterilization protocol. Subject's screaming was distressing to staff. Recommend increased laudanum doses for future subjects. Latoya's hands shake. She turns pages, finding more horrors. Then she reaches a recent entry that makes her blood run cold. Fascinating new arrival at Institute. Miss L. Duchamp, woman of color, exceptional medical knowledge, intelligence unusual for her race and sex. Would make ideal subject for neurological experiments. Considering methods to convince her to participate. Perhaps offer of advanced training. Must proceed carefully. She's proven more perceptive than expected. He's been planning to make her his next victim. Suddenly she hears footsteps in the hallway. Her candle gutters out. She freezes. The footsteps stop outside the office door. The handle begins to turn. Latoya quickly closes the journal and returns it to the cabinet, but there's no time to lock it. She looks around desperately for a hiding place. The door opens. In Blackwood's office, continuous, Dr. Blackwood enters, carrying an oil lamp. He doesn't immediately see Latoya. O has pressed herself into the shadows behind a tall anatomical skeleton. Blackwood goes to his desk and begins searching through papers. He's muttering to himself, Dr. Blackwood, where did I put that formula? The sedative compound for tomorrow's procedure. Latoya barely breathes. If he turns around, if he looks toward the skeleton, he'll see her. Blackwood finds what he's looking for and turns to leave. His lamp swings, and the light catches something. The cabinet, still slightly ajar. He stops. Slowly, he walks to the cabinet and opens it fully. He sees that the journals have been disturbed. Dr. Blackwood, quietly, dangerously. Someone has been in my office. He sets down his lamp and begins examining the room more carefully. Latoya knows she has seconds before he discovers her. As Blackwood turns toward the skeleton, Latoya makes a desperate decision. She steps out of the shadows. Latoya, I apologize, Dr. Blackwood. I was looking for you. Blackwood spins around, surprise quickly replaced by suspicion. Dr. Blackwood, Miss Duchamp, how did you get into my office? Latoya, thinking quickly. The door was unlocked. I knocked, but there was no answer. I came to ask you about tomorrow's lecture on neurological anatomy. Dr. Blackwood, at this hour, and in the dark? Latoya, I couldn't sleep. Medical questions often keep me awake. I thought perhaps you kept reference materials here that might help me understand the cranial nerve pathways better. Blackwood studies her, his eyes cold and calculating. He doesn't believe her, but he can't quite prove she's lying. Dr. Blackwood, my office door was locked when I left for the society meeting. I locked it myself. Latoya, then perhaps a servant unlocked it earlier and forgot to secure it again? Dr. Blackwood, moving closer, perhaps. Or perhaps you're lying to me, Miss Duchamp. Perhaps you were searching for something specific. Latoya, meeting his gaze, what would I be searching for? Dr. Blackwood, that's an excellent question. What would someone search for in a doctor's private office? Medical secrets? Experimental notes? Evidence of impropriety? The air between them crackles with tension. Latoya knows she's in extreme danger, but she refuses to show fear. Latoya, I came seeking knowledge about neurological anatomy. If my presence here offends you, I apologize and will return to my quarters. She turns to leave, but Blackwood's hand shoots out and grabs her arm. His grip is painfully tight. Dr. Blackwood, I don't think you understand the precariousness of your position, Miss Duchamp. You're a woman of color in a city that barely tolerates your presence. You're a guest in my institute, here by my sufferance. If you were to disappear, who would ask questions? Who would care? Latoya, steadily despite her fear. Mrs. Hartwell would care. Her husband, the lawyer at the district attorney's office, would care. The ship's officer who brought me to Boston, who knows where I'm staying, would care. I'm not as alone as you think. It's a bluff, but it works. Blackwood's grip loosens slightly. Dr. Blackwood, smiling coldly, of course. I merely meant that Boston can be dangerous for the unwary. You should be more careful, Miss Duchamp. Accidents happen in medical institutes. Sharp instruments, toxic chemicals, stairs that lead to basements. Latoya, I'll remember that. Now, may I go? Blackwood releases her arm. Dr. Blackwood, by all means. But Miss Duchamp, I'll be watching you very closely from now on. Very closely indeed. Latoya walks to the door with measured steps, refusing to run despite every instinct screaming at her to flee. She can feel Blackwood's eyes on her back until she's in the hallway. Interior hallway. Night. The moment she's out of sight, Latoya runs. She races through the corridors back to her room, her heart pounding. Interior Latoya's room. Night. She locks her door and pushes her desk against it for extra security. She's shaking now.